Merry Christmas, Sky Valley Chapel. We made it to Christmas Eve. Whew. Our culture started looking ahead to Christmas almost before Halloween was over. Out came the trees and the lights and whatever those 10-foot high lawn ornaments are. We began to hear Christmas music playing over and over and over again. One of my sons works at Belks, and I think this Christmas season has ruined any possibility of him wanting to hear Christmas music ever again. And of course, the shopping. It's not like it used to be. Black Friday ain't quite the same, but only because the sales that used to focus on a single day have been spread out over the weeks before and after Thanksgiving. In fact, it sometimes feels like Thanksgiving and its focus on gratefulness is overlooked with the looming Christmas festivities. Somehow, forgetting gratitude is not a good omen going into a time of year where giving and receiving gifts is one of the primary ways of celebrating the season. But here we are, Christmas Eve. Tonight, we have read from Scripture and sung many Christmas songs. And perhaps, like my son, you've heard the words in the song so many times that you are wondering, why do we do this? Why not something different? Why not something unique? And to be clear, there is nothing wrong with either different or unique. We may not always do it exactly the same way at the chapel. But I do want us to think about how what we are doing here tonight is different from what happens in Belks or the grocery store or anywhere else in our culture this Christmas season. You see, the only reason why you hear so much Christmas music, see so many of the trappings of Christmas expression, and hear for months on end about the approaching Christmas day is to make you a customer. It's marketing. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't truly Christian people who hold to truly Christian understanding of Christmas out there in the marketplace. I am thankful for those in the marketplace who are trying to represent Christ well as a Christian business. My parents and I had a business for 10 years, and we would have decorated for Christmas every year, irrespective of whether customers appreciated it or not. But let's also be honest. Most of the reason that most of the businesses project Christmas themes is because they want you to buy something for Christmas. They want to make you a customer. I think sometimes churches can fall into this same mindset that somehow we are trying to market people to be part of our church. Now, again, it's not wrong for a church to tell others about what is happening in the church and to invite others to be part of it. And Sky Valley Chapel holds a unique place in the Sky Valley community since it is such a landmark icon of our community. None of that is wrong in and of itself. But I want to be very clear with you tonight. We are not trying to make you a customer of the Sky Valley Chapel. Everything we do here tonight is not intended to pull on your heartstrings to compel you to come here throughout the year. We are not marketing you. Tonight, whether this is your first time here or you have been attending here for decades, tonight we are inviting you into something far more valuable and far more lasting. And to understand what we are doing, I want to invite you to turn to Galatians chapter 4. I want to encourage you to use the Bibles in your pews. If you don't know where Galatians is, there's no shame to go to the table of contents. Galatians is in the New Testament, and it will bring you there to Galatians chapter 4. I want you to turn there yourself so that you can see for yourself what we are offering here tonight. In Galatians chapter 4, Paul starts out in verse 1 and says, "What I am saying is that as long as the heir is a child, they are no different from a slave, although they own the whole estate. They are subject to guardians and trustees until the time set by the father. So also, when we were children, we were in slavery under the basic principles of the world." This is how we all start out. Before we have faith in Jesus, we are like children who are heirs to the world, and yet we have this conservatorship that we must submit to. The conservator can make decisions for us that whether we like it or not, we are bound to. Before faith in Jesus, your conservator is sin. And all that sin allows you to do is to experience impurity, curse, and death. Sin does not have your best interest at heart. In fact, sin wants to destroy you. But look at the next verses, starting in verse 4. But when the time had fully come, God sent his son, born of a woman, born under the law, to redeem those under the law, that we might receive the full rights of offspring. Because you are offspring, God sent the Spirit of his Son into our hearts, the Spirit who calls out, Abba, Father. So you're no longer a slave, but a descendant. And since you are a descendant, God has made you also an heir. This is the message of Christmas. God sent his son, Jesus Christ, so that through his life, death, resurrection, and ascension, we might be changed. We might be freed from the conservatorship of sin. We might no longer be bound to impurity and curse and death. Instead, we receive what is offered to us as descendants and as heirs. We receive God's holiness, God's blessing, and God's life. You see, Christmas for our culture ends on December 26th, because after that, you are no longer an interested customer. But Christmas for Christians is not the end of the story. Christmas is the beginning of the story of how through faith in Jesus, we can be transformed into heirs of God, heirs who have their shame exchanged for honor, heirs who have their guilt exchanged for forgiveness, heirs who have their bondage exchanged for freedom, heirs who have their hopelessness exchanged for hope. We don't want you to become customers of Sky Valley Chapel. We are not marketing you. We want you to become part of our family. And like every family, we have some crazy Uncle Joes here who will likely do something embarrassing. And I'm sure there are some Cousin Janes who will probably say something that shouldn't be said. In other words, our family is just like your family. But just like your family, we keep getting together every Sunday for the same reason that you get together with your family this Christmas. Because what joins us together, being family, is more important than the quirkiness that could separate us. And we also realize that many of you tonight have your own places where you worship with other believers, and we are not trying to pull you away from there. That's the beauty of the family of God. We are all together in this. We are not in competition with each other for customers. So if you have a place to worship with other believers that you're going to rejoin in the coming weeks, go with our blessing. If you don't have a place to worship and are not from this area but want to join the family of God, then email me at pastor@skyvalleychapel.com and I will help you find a church wherever you live. But if you are from this area and you don't have a place to worship Jesus, but during this Christmas season, you're being drawn to him, then we want to invite you into our family. Why do we sing these songs and read these passages? It's not to get you here on Christmas Eve so that we can wrangle you into coming throughout the year. We would do this whether you came or not. We do this because this is what our family does. Thank you for joining our family for this Christmas celebration, and may God's blessings rest on you and your family.